Welcome to the Earth is Ghetto podcast. Listen, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. It's been tough trying to get this episode out to y'all.
Really tough.
Life been life.
But we're back.
we're finally back. Okay? And of course, welcome to your Black Queer platform where being queer is African. Okay? And we know this has been quite a hiatus. I think we're hitting month 7.
Yeah.
I think.
When was it? November?
No, I feel like November was the last episode. It's June. I know. We know. Listen, a lot has happened, and we're just going to catch you up just super briefly before we get into the show. Because the last time you saw us, we were in 2 different states. Okay?
Oh yeah. We're roomies now.
Yeah. We live together now. That's how much we believe in the show. No, and on top of that, I have moved states. We are now both in the South. This shit is crazy. I didn't think I was going to be moving next to Cop City, but here we are. But I am so happy to finally be here giving you this episode. And so much has fucking happened. So as far as my mental health check-in, which is usually how we would start the show, my answer is, I don't fucking know.
Mine is find out in the next episode of Class War.
Okay. Yeah, I still have no idea. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I'm just hoping for blackness, and never mind. Anyway, it's hard to look forward to things, guys. But you know what I did look forward to? Actually recording this episode for y'all. It's been a nice little bright spot for the both of us, and we're definitely going to get into it. But before I do, what has your mental health check-in been looking like?
Yeah. I think that kind of explains it.
Okay, that was the noise? All right, sweet. All right,
yeah,
now let's
my
move on.
mental health, like I feel like I say this every episode. It depends on the day. Like, I'm just taking everything. There's so much fuckery going on. I'm decent to be a black queer person, a black queer non-binary person living in capitalist, white supremacist America, a colonial empire. I'm decent.
Basically, the best that we can do with what we got, insert the Mariah Carey gif. Okay? That's all we got. But let's go ahead and get directly into the show. The first topic is The Dream. Anybody remember The Dream? Didn't he do Birthday Sex?
You know, he produced a lot of Renaissance, Beyonce's album. So I'm kind of, girl.
I might as well tell you, if you have the album, you already gave him the money, so it don't really matter. Might as well just spin the spins.
Yeah. Produced Tabloid Party too.
Spin the spins. I don't know what to say. But The Dream has been a powerhouse of a producer, singer, songwriter, ex-baby daddy of Christina Milian, and now I'm just like, girl, I didn't know that you was like the Amistad, and then when you finally let that man, it was like, give this free. I didn't know that this was the kind of man we was talking about. But yeah, so The Dream is going to go along right side Diddy and R. Kelly. Let's talk about it.
All 60 pages, so let me tell you what's being alleged. First of all, I thought his name was Terrius Nash. So The Dream, along with his company Contra Paris and Epic Records, are being sued by a woman named Chinaz Mangrove, aka Shawnee Monroe. Lawsuit starts off highlighting Dream's success as a singer, songwriter, and producer, while also calling out an arrest on felony assault, strangulation, reckless endangerment, and child endangerment of his girlfriend who was pregnant at the time. Shawnee, on the other hand, is detailed as an aspiring songwriter from the Netherlands who at the age of 21 signed a production deal with US-based company Shapiro Bernstein and Company. And as a result of that deal, she was awarded a 3-year O-1B visa that allowed her to begin frequently working in the US. So the visa was set from 2012 through 2015. And in late 2014, which is getting close to the time her visa is expiring, the suit says that she's 23 at the time, and she gets contacted by the Dream's childhood friend and personal security guard, Chris Garland. He reaches out on Instagram and asks her to send him some music that he could share with the Dream's manager. So Shawnee shares the music, and on January 29, 2015, she is flown out to Atlanta. She's first told that the Dream needs to see how she handles herself in a club atmosphere. So over the course of the first few days, she goes to the club with the Dream, Garland, the security guard, and Dream's creative partner, whose name is Tricky. She also goes to an Atlanta Hawks game with Gentlemen's Club, and also gets some time in the studio to record some music, which according to her, she's never been properly credited or paid for. So after all of those festivities, and apparently having passed all of the Dream's tests, he eventually reaches out directly to Shawnee via text for the first time saying, quote, "Do you have a boyfriend? Boyfriends aren't allowed. It's a distraction." The trip continues, and as it gets closer for the trip to end, Shawnee is told that the Dream wants to sign her to his label, Contra Paris. Now at this point, again, Shawnee's visa is close to expiring, and she has begun speaking to several well-known producers about potential next steps and sponsorship for her visa renewal. So she wanted to make sure that Dream was serious, and after he assured her that he was and that he planned to sign her, and she was all in. But from there, the lawsuit says that the Dream begins using his relationship with artists like Beyonce and Rihanna to manipulate and coerce her. He allegedly told her that in order to write songs for her, he needed to know everything about her, including everything that embarrassed her, upset her, angered her, and excited her. The lawsuit says that the Dream told Shawnee that she needed to, quote, belong to him so that they could become the next Beyonce and Jay-Z, and that the only reason he achieved such great success with Beyonce is because they created a, quote, sanctuary together, which allowed him to know Beyonce in a way that others could not, and that's why he writes the best songs for her. Dream allegedly explained that a sanctuary was even stronger than a spousal connection because it was about art. He said that his relationship with Beyonce was so close that he knew about Beyonce's pregnancy before her husband, Jay-Z. The lawsuit goes on to say that the Dream told Shawnee if she, quote, acted right, he would share the specific formula that he uses with Beyonce, and that she and Beyonce would be the only two artists with these industry secrets. And another example of what the suit alleges was emotional manipulation and coercion, it says that the Dream frequently pitted Rihanna against Beyonce, implying that Rihanna was fighting for his attention and was frustrated that he was giving it to Beyonce instead of her. The lawsuit says that the Dream told Shawnee that Rihanna was begging him for good records, but because of his special, quote, sanctuary relationship with Beyonce, he would save them for Beyonce, and that Shawnee could be a part of this as well. The lawsuit goes on to detail more things that the Dream allegedly said about Rihanna and Beyonce, including that Rihanna was possessive over him and would frequently send him flowers and other gifts, reiterating that Rihanna had to, quote, work to make the Dream give her hit records. And while all of this was happening, the Dream was choosing to instead work with Shawnee on her new records. So the lawsuit says through manipulation and coercion, the Dream led Shawnee to believe that if she allowed him to completely control every aspect of her life, the two of them could create the ultimate sanctuary that would surpass anything he accomplished with Beyonce or Rihanna. According to the lawsuit, he goes on to say that he was working on Beyonce's new tour, and that if everything went well, Shawnee could open for Beyonce on her tour, but shared this promise only in the context of, quote, his emotional manipulation of her. Here's a screenshot of one of the alleged messages that the Dream sent to Shawnee, which says, "I think the more freedom you give me, the more relationships I will be able to put you through and in. I'm a straightforward person. Things like Beyonce opening isn't a big deal to get it done. That's my family." The suit says that the Dream instilled in Shawnee that she should be grateful for his efforts to help her, emphasizing that her success was only possible thanks to him. Alright, so on February 4th, 2015, while at the studio, the lawsuit says that the Dream complained that Shawnee needed to loosen up, so he pressured her to drink, smoke, and engage with him, assuring her that it would enhance the quality of the music and reminding her of this sanctuary that he had led her into. He, according to the docs, took her to a pitch black bedroom and coerced her into engaging with him. And when others began looking for where he was, the suit says he locked Shawnee in the room unclothed, went back to the studio to do what he needed to do, then came back to the room, engaged with her again, locked her in the room again, and then repeated the cycle back and forth for hours. When she finally left the room, the lawsuit says it was 6 a.m., and although she was tired and confused, she tried to remain grateful and hopeful for what she believed was her big break. So as this dynamic continues, the lawsuit says Dream would send explicit text messages mixed in with promises about Shawnee's forthcoming record deal, which according to the lawsuit was a tactic to manipulate her. A February 14th text message from the Dream allegedly read, "Your life is now you have way more room, but I will care about those things in your life like they are my own. Your mother is my mother. Your father, your brother, your friends are mine. Your enemies I will inherit as my enemies." And when Shawnee said she did not understand, the Dream responded, "This is that other, blood in, blood out." On February 17, 2015, Shawnee goes to Amsterdam, and when she returned to Atlanta on February 21st, the lawsuit said she was put in an isolated residence inn where she could not drive and had to rely on the Dream for money for all of her expenses. She allegedly had to regularly send text messages expressing how grateful and thankful she was to the Dream and buying him flowers to express her gratitude. She wasn't allowed to attend events or go to the clubs, and she was regularly asked what she was eating and told to go to the gym. The suit details multiple examples of the Dream allegedly berating Shawnee, demanding she engage with him whenever he wanted, and after a pregnancy scare, the lawsuit alleges that the Dream screamed at Shawnee for almost an hour because he said it was, quote, an insult to him that she was happy that she was not pregnant by him. It also says that the Dream told Shawnee it was her fault that Beyonce's album was delayed and he had the right to tell her what to do to make it up to him, allegedly demanding that she apologize while he forced her to do what he wanted. There are examples of more threatening and violent interactions, graphic text messages, eventually to the point that Shawnee said she had become so isolated and dependent on the Dream for food and shelter in such a short period of time that it became increasingly difficult for her to comprehend the reality of her situation. Paragraph 161 of the lawsuit is, quote, "The Dream, who was married, had a child on the way in May of 2015, so he was more distracted than usual. Shawnee used that time to ask if she could leave for a few days to visit her mother. Dream told her that she could only go home if she left all her belongings with Garland, the security guard. There are more violent encounters alleged, including an incident in a movie theater where after refusing an interaction with the Dream, he allegedly got angry and then forced one with her. In one April 2015 text message, after asking the Dream about an interview where he didn't mention Shawnee as his new artist, the Dream allegedly flew into a rage and then refused to speak to Shawnee for several days. Garland told her that in order to make amends, she needed to show she was humble, show her passion and loyalty, and provide a gift to Dream as a peace offering. And then on April 21st, 2015, while she was in Amsterdam, Shawnee finally signed a recording and shopping contract with Contra, which allowed them a 6-month period to negotiate a distribution agreement. A short time later, on May 1st, Shawnee signs a deal with Epic Records, and on that same day, Dream allegedly texts her, quote, "It will always be mine, not just all of you, your blood, your mind, your heart." Lawsuit says that the Dream maintained complete control over communications concerning Shawnee's deal with Epic. He refused to connect her directly to anyone and even refused to include her in email or text exchange with the executives from the deal that she was now signed to. In late May of 2015, there was a meeting at Epic Records with L.A. Reid, during which the suit alleges that L.A. Reid complimented Shawnee, which upset the Dream, and allegedly led him to violently and forcefully engage with her again, but this time in a recording booth. Over the next few months, the lawsuit says that Shawnee was curious about starting to record her music, but she was too afraid to ask because the Dream took it as disrespect. During another alleged violent encounter that's detailed in the lawsuit, it says that the Dream purposely banged Shawnee's face, causing her right eye to swell and bruise. On or around August 15, 2015, the lawsuit says the Dream told Shawnee to meet him at the studio. So she goes to a studio named Silent Studios, but the Dream never shows up. Following day, the Dream allegedly texts her, quote, "I don't feel like we have the same interest for each other. Dropped something yesterday and waited on you and didn't hear a word. We had a good ride, but truthfully, I can't do it for you, and it's lopsided." Shawnee responded that she went to the studio, but the Dream never showed up, to which the Dream allegedly responded that he was at Red Zone Studio, and she should have known to ask him which studio he meant instead of assuming. He then said, quote, "Please end text after this and have whoever else contact me from now on. Thank you and good night, and you're welcome. Don't contact me about anything about this album, and if you want to have a respectful conversation with me, I'll let you know when I get the time, but not right now. So following this, Shawnee begins telling multiple people, including people at Epic Records, about the abuse that she had been experiencing at the hands of the Dream. She books her own hotel and expresses that she needs to get away from him. She gets a new manager, but the suit says that the Dream withheld the music that she had recorded and refused to meet with her. When November comes around, she finally has a meeting back at Epic, including with L.A. Reid, but her new manager doesn't show. At that time, L.A. Reid agrees that Shawnee should work with new producers, but by early December, he changes his mind and says that the Dream should still be involved in Shawnee's project. More time passes, and then in June, the Dream called her to say that Epic Records was washing their hands of her. A short time later, on July 15, 2016, Shawnee gets official word that Epic Records no longer wants to distribute her music. Within a few short weeks of being notified that Epic was done, Shawnee gets notified that her team and her management team also don't want to proceed with her. Shawnee says as a result of the abuse, pain, and devastation that she's endured, her life will never be the same. He says she's lost a decade of her life due to Dream's abuse and the willingness of Contra, Epic, and Reid to look the other way. So she's suing for trafficking under 18, battery, and more. The Dream has responded to these allegations, saying that these claims are untrue and defamatory. He says, quote, "I oppose all forms of harassment and have always strived to help people realize their career goals. As someone committed to making a positive impact on my fellow artists and the world at large, I am deeply offended and saddened by these accusations."
Well, and it's like I always knew something was off about that nigga.
I always, God, I feel for that lady. Jesus Christ.
I said something just
Jeez.
ain't right about him.
I don't even think I have anything to say after that.
Everything was. What do you think Beyonce has to say about it? Because she worked with him these last 2 albums. He produced a lot of her songs.
I wonder. I don't think she can do the same thing that she did with Khalees and just be like, "Well, you ain't got nothing to do it now anyway."
Right.
I don't think she can do the same thing because that nigga's all over her work. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's talk about Diddy. Good God.
My thing with Diddy is, I know that a lot of y'all, when I say this is a black conversation, first and foremost, y'all didn't give a fuck what that nigga did. The only thing y'all cared about was him being, was the gay shit.
Facts.
I don't think y'all had any doubts about the allegations when it comes to the abuse and shit. The only thing y'all give a fuck about was, oh, that's sus. That's gay. Like, the gay shit.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. And when y'all say that, it's homophobic, obviously, because you're putting a negative connotation
on somebody's sexuality when we should actually be concentrating on the fact that they're an abuser. And listen, I feel like people need to understand that if we know that this is what Diddy is doing, what do you think Biggie was doing? I know nobody wants to have that conversation because that man is dead and was dead at 25. But if you're a real hip-hop head, I know you've heard full albums. I know you've heard some questionable fucking lyrics. To the point where you're like, yo, why are we talking about minors right now? Also, I just want to say that we should be listening to Cassie all summer. All 3 of her songs.
Because that's delicious.
That's all that nigga would let her have. That's all that nigga would let her have.
Listen to her EP, girl.
Listen, and anytime you come on new music, let me tell you something, girl. You come out with a concert, I'm going. I'm
in other words like that.
I won't, but
I'm shaking ass.
Listen, and I'm coming to support, okay?
Yeah.
I'm coming to support. And also to give your husband a high motherfucking five because you deserve the world. And I'm so glad that you have a husband who obviously loves you. And and a child. I'm glad that your life looks so much different than it was before. But oh my God. Because we got to talk about the fact that, the reason why the people are finally putting Diddy under the ground, not because Cassie went ahead and came out with a lawsuit, not because he settled it in like 48 hours, not because of any of that, because they finally found the video of Diddy beating her ass in a hallway in a hotel room.
And that's the thing, like, it shouldn't take a fucking video to believe the victim in the first. I always believe the victim. That way we can get to the bottom of it. Because when you say, oh, well, we don't know for sure, we can investigate.
They're not even trying to do that. Like, I really hope that Diddy ends up under a rock somewhere in the worst possible prison. And I believe in police reform. But if we haven't done it yet, give it to that nigga.
Look,
that's all.
I'm an abolitionist myself. Put that nigga in prison. Under the prison.
I don't even think he deserves the tax. See, I'm about to go somewhere else. All right. It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
I'm not a lawyer. But there's a new 15-page lawsuit that's been filed against Diddy, Bad Boy Entertainment, Sean John Clothing, and Universal Music Entertainment Group. And I got the docs, so let's go through it. First of all, the lawsuit was filed under the New York City Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act, which on a basic level gives victims of gender motivated violence the ability to civilly sue for money their abusers regardless of when the abuse occurred, as long as the abuse occurred in New York and as long as they filed the lawsuit before February 28th, 2025. And for context, SA falls within a type of gender motivated violence. Got that? All right, now let's get to the suit. So it was filed by a woman named Crystal McKinney, and she says that at age 17, she won a modeling competition through MTV and then was giving a modeling contract with IHG. From there, her career took off, leading her to model with Tommy Hilfiger, Macy's, Elle, Cosmopolitan, and more. In 2003, when she was 20 years old, a designer invited her to attend a Men's Fashion Week event in downtown New York. According to the docs, that designer told her that she was going to be meeting Diddy and wanted to ensure that Diddy found her attractive. She was instructed to get a root touch-up to ensure her hair was platinum blonde. The suit says that the designer also handpicked out the outfit for Crystal to wear. And then it says that, quote, due to the traumatic events to occur later, plaintiff, meaning Crystal, saved the unwashed clothing from that night in her closet where they remain in a plastic wrap. So Crystal says she goes to where the designer was dining with Diddy.
Oh, she's
and once
smart.
there, Diddy made a quote.
She said, "You're not getting away with this shit."
Okay.
Holding on to the plaintiff in a suggestive manner, which continued on throughout dinner. Diddy allegedly complimented Crystal's eyes and told her she was going to make it big one day as a model and that he had power in the industry and was going to help further her career. So the two exchange phone numbers, the flirting continues, and the drinking continues, according to the docs. Later that night, the suit says that Diddy requested Crystal come back to his studio. She gets there and sees that it's Diddy and several other men passing around Hennessy and joints. So she joins in on the festivities, and one of Combs' associates allegedly replied to her, "You've never had festivities like this before." Crystal says she later learned that the festivities were laced. So Crystal proceeds with consuming what was being passed around, and when she wanted to stop, the suit says that Diddy pressured her by saying she was acting too uptight. At the point when she felt like she was floating, Diddy allegedly demanded and physically led Crystal to a bathroom. Once there, he allegedly kissed her without consent, shoved and forced her to perform. When it was all over, the suit says that Diddy led Crystal back to the studio where she felt woozy and eventually lost consciousness. Crystal says when she woke up, she was in a taxi cab headed back to the designer's apartment, and as she began to regain her consciousness, she realized that she had been assaulted. Following the assault, Crystal says that her modeling opportunities dwindled, and she believes that she was blackballed from the industry at the hands of Diddy. She became depressed, anxious, and struggled with addiction. Crystal says that she is a woman of faith, and when she saw news coverage of the lawsuits from Cassie Ventura, as well as Miss Dickerson Neal and the others, she knew she had a moral obligation to speak up. So the first and only cause of action in this lawsuit is related to the New York City Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act, which she says that this assault falls within. And now remember, there are other defendants in this case. There's Bad Boy, Sean John, and Universal Music Group. And according to Crystal, she says that they should be held liable because they failed to protect her from a known danger and failed to have policies and procedures in place to prevent these kind of assaults from happening. That Diddy with Crystal also says that prior to her assault, these companies should have known that Diddy was not fit to be in a position of authority because they were aware or should have been aware of his propensity to commit SA. Crystal says that these companies enabled his abuse by allowing him to maintain a position of power. And so she's suing all of them. What is this, lawsuit number 6, 7? I think I gotta go back and count them all. As always, docs are on my Patreon if you, for some reason, want to read them. There's a tier specifically for if you just want docs.
Girl. What a fucked up person. And y'all not finna say that y'all trying to tear down black men with this shit. I'm not trying to hear that dumbass shit.
Let me tell you something. I am so fucking sick of the fact that we are weaponizing anything in reference to this man who's obviously just a fucking demon. Stop it.
Do you think that people will still... This is, again, a black conversation. Do you think that black folks will still support, as in, like, buy his liquor, listen to his shit?
I think the same black people who are still listening to R. Kelly are still be rocking with P. Diddy.
The same people that are defending Diddy or Diddy themselves?
Mm-hmm. Because so it's kind of like if you're in a situation where it's like someone's being abused and someone who you would think would normally help is either turning a blind eye or even worse, joining in. What do you think is happening at their house? Like, if you're going to defend a wife beater, you more than likely are a wife beater.
Yeah.
If you're going to defend a pedophile, that's all I'm saying. So I need you guys to be very careful of the people who are defending these abusers. And I'm sorry, these situations, especially ones like these, you can judge people off of it. I need you to be 100%. You just meeting somebody, they say, oh, I don't think what Diddy did was that bad. Check that nigga's computer. Okay.
Guillotine. Next case. So as you guys know, this is election year. I am not voting. Now, I am not telling you not to vote. I'm not telling you what the fuck to do. For me, and the awareness of it all, and knowing how this system works, and also, bitch, I'm fucking tired. I'm not voting for the lesser of two white supremacists that want to uphold the colonial empire any longer. I'm not hearing any words like abolition, community, mutual aid, organize. I'm not hearing none of that being said. I'm tired. So that's just that on that. You're not going to make me feel bad for not wanting to vote for a genocidal maniac. You're just not. Oh, well, Trump does it. All the presidents do it. So what's the problem? You're not going to try to all lives matter the situation and say, well, so you know that we live in a colonial empire. So you prove my point when you say shit like that. So you know it needs to be dismantled. I'm not trying to hear it. I'm going to be tucked in bed on November 5th, November 8th, whenever the fuck it is. I'm done. Y'all not serious people. And this is mainly for white Democrats and white liberals who are gaslighting black and brown folks, Palestinian Americans, to vote for the genocidal king. Fuck that. I can't take y'all serious. And then y'all do this shit every 4 years. Y'all don't even vote in the fucking local elections, which I support voting for local elections.
It's true.
But every 4 years, y'all gaslight black and brown folks to uphold the status quo that y'all benefit from for the sake of your comfort. I'm not doing that. I don't give a fuck anymore what happens at this point, to be honest. The only thing I'm focusing on is organizing, community, mutual aid. That's it.
Oh. I am I'll be honest with you. Not voting is not a new thing for me. I remember when I did vote, though. I voted for Obama. The amount of disappointment that that man's presidency brought me is like, and a lot of people be like, what Obama was a great president. I feel like maybe you had to be there. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not sure, because when Trayvon Martin died, I thought, we got a black president. There's no way it's going down like this. That man pretended to drink water in Flint, Michigan, to convince the people that it was safe to drink while people were actively dying from lead poisoning. Guantanamo Bay, waterboarding. Literally, the bomb in Obama in the Middle East is what he actually stood for. I can't pretend that there is good on this blue MAGA side, because that's effectively what you are. It's what you've become. And I'm not going to vote for Biden, a person who said that you're not really black if you don't vote for me, just because he was the vice president out of a fucking Obama.
Yeah. 94 crime pill.
And who has been sucking the dick of Is Not Real since the beginning. Both of them. So I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm leaving this fucking country. So there would really be no reason for me to vote. And even if I was staying here, I feel like there's a lot more things that I would do to help that have nothing to do with voting. Because the voter suppression is real, and we know this shit is rigged. Especially at a national level. Not so much on a local level, where I feel like actual change could actually occur. But on a national level, bugged out. The Electoral College, did you see how that's fucked us? Hillary Clinton's not a good person. I hate to break it to you, but there are all of these people they've put up in our face and be like, oh, here's another Democrat, here's another Democrat. They never codified Roe versus Wade. They had the ability to do it. 50 years it went uncodified and just finally overturned.
While it's still being built.
Project 2025 is still on its way. Me making sure that we're staring at Biden for another 4 years doesn't make any of that go away, but it does kill more Palestinians. It does kill more people in the Congo. It does kill a lot of people in a bunch of other countries where us and Israel are meddling in shit we have no fucking business in. That's it.
It's just, what is it going to take for y'all to see that this shit was not made for us? And when I say us, I'm talking black. What is it going to take? And then y'all still are focused on individualism. Oh, well, we got to do, yeah, but now's the time. When is the fucking time going to be then? Y'all say that every 4 years.
Or tell us that we just gotta make money and go to a better college and get better jobs and it'll all be better. We're doing that. Black women are some of the most educated people in this country.
Yeah, the most.
And they're still fighting paycheck to fucking paycheck. Oh no, it's fine.
Celebrating Trump being convicted reminds me of 9 p.m. November election day 2016. Yeah. It very much so gives that energy, right? Because while Trump was indicted on 34 counts of felonies, right, he's still allowed to run for president of the United States. And I want to correct myself, as it was noted in my last video, that there are some felons that can vote, but there are still some places where they cannot. So just to make that clarification. But anyways, Hillary Clinton is doing the most, right? She posted her Instagram that she's selling mugs that turns out she was right about everything, with a caricature of her sipping out of a mug, right? Right? Again, very much so, 9 p.m., election night 2016, right? And she spent years telling people that Donald Trump was a criminal. But when she started running for office, but she was at his wedding, right? She was at his wedding. And in my mind, given all the access that she's had politically, she would have to know something is up.
IJS.
But well before she ran for office. But anyway, she's selling these mugs. Democrats are going out of their way to fundraise off of Donald Trump's indictments, but he can still run for office, and they're still going to use him as the boogeyman no matter what. But here's what I don't think they anticipate happening. He already out fundraised them in April. And in the Politico article that I shared a couple days ago, it literally said Trump was running ahead of Biden in most battleground states. He raised far more money in April, and that landscape may only be worse for Democrats. And now with these 34 convictions, he's a martyr, a quote-unquote martyr. The donations to that man is about to skyrocket because I don't see too many Democratic voters giving a whole ton of their money to the Democrats right now, regardless of whether or not he was convicted of these crimes. These convictions are simply going to rally Trump's voters way more. And they're going to use these convictions during the Republican National Convention to hype him up to stratospheric levels that we have not seen before. With the dogma, with the allegiance, I don't think we've seen anything yet, to be honest.
Gonna make that man Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah, they already are. Mm-hmm. They did that last time. And the nerve of, speaking of Hillary Clinton, the nerve of her cheetah face ass to get up on, what show was it, Jimmy Fallon? One of them. He asked her, so what do you have to tell the people that don't want to vote for neither Biden or Trump? And she said, well, those are your two options. Get over it. That's what I would say. Bitch, what you should have said was, well, white supremacy is white supremacy. That's all you got. You have to deal with it because that's how you have to choose from.
Or lie better. Goddamn.
Or lie better because, bitch, you're known for that. Like Hillary Clinton, shut the fuck up.
I'm not surprised. We had Michelle Obama talking about it really worries her about the country, that there's just, I feel like they're stuck on their phones right now. They're not able to really decipher what's going on. So you're really going to belittle the intelligence of an entire nation who's watching children die in real time from what's happening on the ground and say that we just don't understand foreign policy because we're stuck in our phones? Or is it because there are things going on that are on our phones that you don't want us to see?
That's what it is. She said the peasants are organizing and there's too much community going on the phones, on TikTok. So it bothers me because how else can they uphold the status quo if they keep educating themselves and engaging in community off this app, which they are trying to ban as we speak?
On some don't look up type shit. I got to rewatch that movie. When I'm starting a Patreon, I'm going to be doing some watch-alongs for you guys. And I really feel like Don't Look Up is a great watch. I would rewatch the fuck out of that movie because it was done too well. Starring the I'm not quite a pedophile, Leonardo DiCaprio. Listen, he's just like, listen, if you gotta be 21, and if you get to 22, you're now a grandfather range, and I gotta go find another 21-year-old. But that's fine. It's not what I'm talking about. When I say that I feel like that was so well written and well acted and well done, down to Ariana Grande's hit single in the movie.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because we are, it's so easy to pull the wool over our eyes. And every time things like this come up,
scary.
It makes it,
It's scary how accurate that movie is. Like, they are literally trying to still make capital off of the asteroid that is heading towards us. If that's not the most accurate thing that we would do.
Ain't that the most American shit you've ever heard in your motherfucking life? Like, yeah, it may kill us, but pause. Let me cook. Hold on. What we could do is we get the goal from it first. And yeah, maybe it's a little closer or whatever, but then we have the goal, right? And we could just pay for something to make it go away. It's fine.
Like, painful. Like, it's just fucking a type of rock. Y'all are so stupid.
They're like, well, no, but we found minerals that are really valuable that we are tired of killing Africans for. And we just like so excited to be able to get this for free. It's for the frizzle. It's coming to the earth.
Like, who says this is worth this value because it's gold. Like, y'all don't have the range to think like that.
I feel like
I'm
people
not
don't
gonna
realize
stress
a lot of our actual paper dollars and money actually represented a gold amount that was supposed to be sitting in the National Treasury. That's empty. It's okay.
I really have to pee.
Go Google that later. No, by all means. We'll just keep it running. Going to our next one, and of course, this is something that we obviously covered in November, which is crazy because it had only been happening for. It had been happening for 2 months then.
Yeah.
You know, October 7th is when people became aware that the Palestinians were suffering as deeply as they were, which is why Hamas, resistance fighters,
Right.
fought back.
And I'm glad you said resistance fighters. Excuse me. I'm glad you said resistance fighters because y'all also called the Black Panthers a terrorist group as well. Resistance. Like, we're not stupid. And it's pissing off a lot of
Zionists.
Zionists. They have a right to defend themselves.
Just like you want to say about Israel, which is insane because Israel was the one who actually created the Nakba that I believe happened in 1948. You've got the people who are in Hamas still have the keys from their parents, from their old homes that they were taken from, with the memories that have been taken from generation to generation of the mass murder that ensued. You've got little kids who are now 15, 16, who have lived through several wars already. And I don't even want to call it a war. They've lived through several genocides, all perpetrated by Israel and the U.S. We are more than just culpable. Put that out.
Like, I need y'all to understand that Israel basically owns the U.S. They control the fuck out of us. Israeli lobbyists, Biden said it himself, like, yeah, he supports Israel. He's a Zionist.
And also, this is not to be confused, and I'm sure if you've been watching us for a while, you already know this, but this is not to be confused with actual anti-Semitism. And there's a lot of anti-Semitic tropes where, oh, well, the Jews own everything, and the Jews do this, and the Jew... That's not what we're talking about. There are so many Jewish people who are telling everyone else, not in my fucking name. I have never wanted this. Do you know any Jewish people that were actually protesting protesting the state of Israel, like its actual existence? There were Jewish people who said this should not happen.
There are Palestinians who are Jewish.
Palestinian Jews, Palestinian Christians. We just may say that they're all Muslim, as if there's something wrong with that. And we have so much fear and fear mongering that happens. And the reason why a lot of black people can understand what's happening is because we understand the dehumanization in the language, which usually is the first thing you see before lives are lost. We see, as they're calling them, animals. We see, and by the way, the actual Zionists who live in Israel, the videos that they are posting are like beyond disgusting. Beyond disgusting, as they celebrate the deaths, saying they're going to sleep to the bombs.
Mm. And girl, this is gonna piss some of y'all off. My girl Jasmine's Garden, shout out to her. She's on TikTok. To the black Christians that have been silent about Palestine, your God is all powerful and loving, but promised y'all land that you could only obtain through supporting a genocide. Most of y'all don't even have rights here, let alone land. Fuck Israel, fuck y'all, and fuck the weak ass bitch made ass God y'all serve. Y'all worried about Palestine, we got problems here. That's what y'all like to say. Some of y'all's ancestors would spit on you if they could, and I would join them. Because the nerve, I'm still hearing black folks say, what that ain't got nothing to do with us. When there have been plenty of black revolutionary leaders and Palestinian revolutionary leaders that have come together. Malcolm X said it best, keep your eyes on Palestine.
And even more than that, let's go ahead and just talk something about more recent, where you cannot refute. Palestinians were giving black people tips in the 2020 protests as to how to protect ourselves.
Yep.
Those are the people we were listening to, because we actually have a prior relationship with them, whether you want to acknowledge it or fucking not.
Israel bombed a refugee camp in Gaza after telling Palestinians just 4 days ago that this area called Block 2371 was a safe area in Rafah. And then they bombed them 60 times, a refugee camp, when they were sleeping. 60 times, a refugee camp. A refugee camp all made up of tents with families. And there is a video of a man who holds up a burnt Palestinian baby, and the baby's head is completely decapitated. And the videos are just of burnt people. That video was the very first video I woke up to this morning, and I had to cover my mouth to stop myself from screaming and sobbing. This is a sickness that we are watching. This is a sickness that we are all witnessing. And I became physically sick from this. So much that I had to actually take time to focus on healing my body. And I think every day, the trauma, the torture that Palestinians in Gaza have to endure, that trauma will never leave them. It will never leave their bodies. It will never leave their mind. The torture that they are subjected to on a minute-by-minute basis. And there seems like there's no end in sight, because it feels like America and Israel and the UK and all these European and Western countries are above international law. So it doesn't feel like we can even imagine the end. Because right now, a country that calls itself the only democracy in the Middle East bombed a refugee camp where people were sleeping, where families were sleeping. And people, Zionists will literally say, how can you say that Israel's a monster? They gave them a warning. I feel like we're not all living in the same world, and in a time where there's multiple genocides and multiple famines happening all at the same time, and people in America are asking, well, if we're not voting for Biden, who are we going to vote for? It is unreal sometimes to be alive at this point. It feels like I am in the motherfucking Truman Show sometimes. Like, this shit is so unreal. And then I watch a video of children dying in the most horrible, in the most difficult ways humanly possible. Like, no one should have to leave this world feeling that much pain, let alone a child whose body is so fragile. And then I realized, this is very real.
I'm going to say this right now. This is going to definitely piss a lot of y'all off. I don't give a fuck. Do you? Because I'm not telling you not to. But if you're going to still vote for Biden after all of this shit and seeing babies with their heads chopped off, or without having any heads, I'm going to have to say you might have some sociopathic tendencies.
That part.
You might just be a sociopath. I'm sorry. Because
The nothing that you feel, just so you can rationalize a vote to a person who perpetuates this, it is psychotic in nature.
Like, I have to stay away from you.
I truly
You could
feel
see,
that.
like, the pictures. I know you see them. I know y'all motherfuckers are seeing them. But but Trump, you might just be a sociopath, my beloved. And that is why I don't fuck with liberals, because fascism is still going to bleed out of y'all every time.
You scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds. This is why we say that. This is exactly the reason why we say that. Because we can show you shit like this, and you'll somehow rationalize it to make us vote for your guy. Because that's the most important fucking thing to you, is power and control, and not the fact that children and women and innocent people just in general are being eviscerated in front of our very fucking eyes. You don't give a fuck. You don't care.
I would rather y'all just come out and say that, to be honest, instead of saying, oh, but. No, it's no but. You don't give a fuck. You just don't care.
And to the black people who have anything except palace support, I just want to let you know, Israel is the reason that we're dying in the streets at the rate that we are right now, and you don't want to believe it. They train our police force. Look it up. They train our fucking police force. Do you care now? Now it's got something to do with you, bitch? Do you fucking care now?
And Biden wants to hire 100,000 more cops, by the way, and just gave $34 million more to cops of our taxpayer
Fucking
money.
disgust me.
Something that Trump wanted to do, by the way. It's almost like they have the same policies.
Oh my goodness. It's almost like it's a fucking circle jerk when the cameras go off.
Y'all not gonna make me feel bad for shit. You're not. It's just not gonna work.
Ever in life. Ever in life. I'm sorry. And the only thing it's going to make me do is wonder where your fucking morals went. Period.
Moving on, girl. Oh my God, that was a lot.
That was so much. I wasn't prepared.
Then we can end it off. Of course, the battery's red. End it off with, as you know, today, this month is Pride Month.
It is. Where the white queers take over and
the
we
white-
wait until July. No.
But to the white queers who are celebrating it a lot this month, there would be no Pride Month or Pride anything if it wasn't for black LGBT folks, especially black trans women.
Like Marsha P. Johnson.
And to the straight black people who are oppressed that it's Pride Month and seeing that black queer folks are, bitch, there were a lot of black queer civil rights leaders, bitch, that have been erased.
Completely
And
from our history.
we have a lot of the rights that we have. Bitch, Bayard Rustin wrote the fucking March on Washington speech for MLK.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
y'all don't want to hear that because, again, y'all think it's a quote-unquote white thing. Anyways,
It's okay, let's talk about
let's talk about Marsha P.
Happy birthday, Marsha P. Johnson.
Marsha P. Johnson has been considered a trailblazer in the LGBTQ plus community since she joined the patrons of the Stonewall Inn in the uprising of 1969.
I think it's about time the gay brothers and sisters got their rights.
But did you know she also founded her own trans collective? Marsha co-founded Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, also known as STAR, with her close friend Sylvia Rivera.
Sylvia Lee Rivera deserves all the credit.
STAR was a radical political collective that worked to provide housing and support to homeless LGBTQ plus youth and sex workers in Lower Manhattan. Marsha and Sylvia were the mothers of the household and funded STAR mostly through sex work. STAR moved its focus to achieving recognition for trans people within the gay liberationist movement and beyond. They even campaigned against other queer groups that ignored the trans community. Despite all it achieved, STAR didn't last long. Its efforts started to dwindle after the 1973 Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade. Sylvia and fellow drag queen and trans activist Lee Brewster believed that gender non-conforming people and drag queens were being asked to back off for the march, and they stormed the stage in protest.
I lost my job. I lost my apartment for gay liberation.
By the end of 1973, STAR had officially dissolved, but it is still seen by many to be a groundbreaking organization in the queer liberation movement. Marsha and Sylvia's determination came from a deep love for their community. They believed their freedom was dependent on liberation for all.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Because it is. Oh my goodness. This was a great show. I'm really so glad to be back with y'all. And listen, we're going to be putting it out every 2 weeks, but we have so much more cooking for you. We weren't just sitting here for 7 months not doing what the fuck we were supposed to do, okay?
Right.
We got stuff ready for you, and I'm so excited for the next leg, the next step, and to start posting more and doing all of the things that need to be done in order to make sure that our platform's the best that we can. But I'm excited.
Me too. For the people that are still here with us, even after our hiatus, girl, y'all some real ones.
Rocking with us
we
so
love y'all.
heavy.
We love y'all so much. You again, as always, you can follow us on Instagram. Since we're back, we're gonna be back active on there now. Earth_is_ghetto_. You can follow both of us on TikTok. Mine is _Aaron205.
And mine is Not Your Spiritual Negro. Negro spelled KNEE_GRO.
And we already have like just about 100 episodes out already. And you
Something.
can listen to all of our episodes on Spotify, Amazon Music, Google, Audible, all the things where you can listen to a podcast.
Every platform they got out there, we on there. Okay?
Period. Remember, bitch, being queer is African.
Yes.
We're not going anywhere, and we're here to stay.
Amen. And welcome back to us.
Period.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, hoes.